Hi there, you're listening to the Guitar Speak podcast, produced here in Sydney, Australia. My name is Matt Wakeling. Thank you so much for joining me today. Now today we speak with two fantastic guitar players. First up, the one and only Zakk Wylde, followed up by a catch-up with my good friend Greg Marra. Now Zakk, of course, rose to prominence when he joined Ozzy Osbourne's band back in 1988 for the No Rest for the Wicked album, subsequent touring and other albums, really following in the footsteps of some incredible guitar players. Of course, Randy Rhoads, J.K. Lee, Brad Gillis, just to name a few guitar players who've held down the coveted guitar spot in Ozzy's band. We talked to Zakk whilst he's on the road with the Black Label Society. Now that's the band he formed and he's fronted since 1998. Zakk talks us through some of the massive riffs on the latest BLS album, Grimmest Hits. He talks about the inspiration behind starting his own line of guitars and amps, that's Wild Audio. And he tells us what it's like to be back working with Ozzy for a farewell tour. Now, Greg Marra won't be a stranger to listeners of the Guitar Speak podcast. We spoke to him back in February 2017 on episode number 36. And he's been up to so much great stuff, I just had to have him back on the show for a catch-up, which was really cool. So we talk about new Plenty Heavy material. He's moved to Sully Guitars, which is super cool. Playing at NAMM, working at Joe Satriani's G4 camp, and starting his own podcast. So lots to catch up with Greg too. So that was very, very fun. But let's jump straight into our interview with Zakk Wylde.
Hello there.
Hey, Zakk. It's Matt Wakeling from the Guitar Speak podcast.
What's happening?
How you doing?
What's cooking over there?
It's all happening over here. How are you doing? You're about 2 months into a really steady run of dates for Black Label. Are you in Albuquerque today? I'm trying to work out your schedule.
Yep, we just did the Tempe, Arizona chapter last night. Now we're rolling with the Albuquerque, New Mexico chapter. So, yeah, without a doubt, man.
That's
ready
awesome.
To, put the fishnets back on, the stilettos, the eyeshadow, then get ready to make a ton of costume changes tonight and do the big Black Label dance, Oh Doom and Light. Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
That's cool, man. That's awesome. Fantastic. Hey, congratulations on the new album, Grimmest Hits. It's massive. It sounds fantastic. It's a mountain of riffs.
Oh, thanks a lot, brother. So, yeah, I just put on all my Lady Gaga and Justin Bieber records, put them on backwards, listen to all the satanic messages and riffs. Yeah, it's quite the production, but it's worth it because it's all about the art and the dance.
Hey, is it true you wrote the whole album in 3 weeks?
Yeah, I had like 20 days to write the record. So, I had the inklings of, I like the riff for Trample Down Below, and then I had the riff for All That One Shined, Seasons of Falter.
Yeah.
So, like a couple things in there.
Okay.
But then, but when I was, I think the only words I had, because it reminded me of like a Stonesy Wild Horses type thing.
Yeah.
So,
cool.
yeah, just that. I only had like 3 things, but, it'd be like, me calling you up and you're my manager. I was just like, boss, what are we doing? How much time do I have? We were on the road with Black Sabbath, and I was just like, boss, how much time do I have when I get home? And he goes, well, you have about days or something like that before the fellas come out to the Black Vatican. I was like, all right, I got like 20 days to write a record. All right, no problem. So, the whole thing is you just get home and you just start, you got a deadline. So, the whole thing is it's got to get done. If I had you, I'm your agent, and I'm like, bro, you got 5 months to do this movie, and they need you like with a 6-pack of abs and everything like that. You're like, all right, well, I got 5 months. All right, cool. Me and you'll go like pound a bunch of cheeseburgers today and McDonald's, and then and some pizza and cheesecake and whatever we want to do today, just for a little send off. And now you got 5 months to get ripped. So you got a deadline. And then you just apply yourself and you do it. So the whole thing is for me is just you go out there and you start writing riffs every day. So until you get something you're happy with. And if you called me up, you're like, you got anything today? I'm like, yeah. So I got like probably 2 things that inklings, but nothing that's really, getting me my man route, ready for devastation. But no, and if you don't find anything today, we'll dig tomorrow. Until you get something you like. But yeah, no sense in gripping or panicking. You just keep going until you get something.
Yeah, right. Yep, cool. Do you usually like to work like that, like to have a deadline and just a clear block of writing?
Yeah, without a doubt. It's almost kind of like with sports. Me and that the baseball season's coming up, so we know we got 6 weeks to before spring training comes. So me and you are already hitting the batting cages and working out. Like we never stopped anyways. But I mean, I'm just saying. To me, because otherwise you just it'll keep going on and on and on. You'll never stop until like when is it going to be ready?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to get it done. You get it done.
Yeah, sure. The riff on Trampled Below, there's a couple of riffs I love the how you play with the timing. So Trampled Down Below, you've got bars in 3 and 5 and 4. Are you thinking about that as you're piecing the riff together, or is that just how it comes out and then you work out where the meter sits with it?
No, it's just, that's just how it came out. You know what I mean? It's just so, like I said, to me, the Bach, Beethoven, and Mozart of rock riffs are pretty much, Lord Iommi, Pope Page, and, the Sorcerer Blackmore. So,
Okay.
it's between Tony Iommi, Jimmy Page, and Richie Blackmore. If you're a classical musician, part of your education is Bach, Beethoven, and Mozart. You would know something by each one of those guys. So,
yeah, sure.
To me, between Iron Man, Smoke on the Water, and a Whole Lot of Love, it really doesn't get much better than that. So, and not only that, just to put yourself in that frame of mind, it's just like if you can't write a riff on 1 or 2 strings, that's the whole thing. Because then you got to start using your imagination. So it's pretty much the art of simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
For those guys, you know what I mean? When you listen to those memorable riffs, and especially when we're doing Zakk Sabbath and everything, it really is staggering. When you're playing these songs live, it's just like between us playing Supernaut, Snowblind, Into the Void, any of these are areas where boots are anywhere. It's just the riffs are so memorable and simple. You know what I mean? So it's just, there's an art to it, man. And those are the 3 kings for sure.
Yeah. Awesome.
That. So I think if anything's in the zip code of what they created, then you'll be fine.
Awesome, man. That's so good. Yeah, man, you mentioned Page, something like Bury Your Sorrow. You've got that 3 against 4 kind of thing against the drums. That struck me as a little bit Zeppish. Love that riff. That's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Are you writing on, I assume for the heavier stuff, you're writing this stuff on guitar? Is everything written on guitar for this album?
It could be either guitar or bass. Because then like you said, then you're just limiting yourself to 4 strings.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, if you're writing a riff on the bass, like I'm saying, if it was never created, if a Whole Lot of Love never existed, you're going you were, I'm like, man, what's that? And you're like, oh, it's this thing I was jamming on this morning. Because and once again, you're on 2 strings, man. You're not on, you don't even need the other 2. You're just on the E and the A.
That's
it.
You
know what I mean? So, or any of those amazing riffs, whether it's the ocean or down, 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 just that's 2 strings as well. So, then you got Smoke on the Water. These are like some of the first riffs you ever learn on the guitar.
Absolutely.
I remember, just having a low E string, and my friend showed me how to play down, 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 down. I was like, oh my God, I can play Smoke on the Water. You're playing music now.
I know, how exciting. Yeah. That's so cool.
Totally. As far as riffs go, I kind of always keep that in mind when I'm really going to come up with a riff. Like it's usually the simpler the better. Like Stillborn is it's 1 note.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I'm not even playing more notes than that. It's 1 note.
Yeah, that's cool. So you're definitely inspired by all that you've loved and that's gone before you. What about something like
I think with all bands and with all artists that we love, you're just you're a reflection of everything you love and you listen to and what you digest. I mean, like even with, you know, when you listen to Sabbath and Zeppelin and everything like that, it was their love for all the blues-based bands. And I mean, you know, because there was such an explosion of blues at that time, you know, between John Mayall and the Blues Breakers, and that, you know, all those, you know, the younger guys like, you know, Sabbath and Zeppelin, their love for that, you know, and then going back and listening to old blues artists, whether it's Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf and all this other stuff, and then just making it louder and more aggressive. You know what I mean? So that's what Clean was doing. And then, you know, Between Sunshine and Your Love, which was probably the first heavy metal riff. Sure. If you really think about it, you know, down, 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 and once again, you can play that on 2 strings. Yeah. So, but I mean, you know, from there, and then you have, you know, Clean and Zeppelin and Sabbath, and then, you know, so I mean, and then it just goes from there. And I mean, but like everything's all riff. It's all riff driven, and you know, and the whole thing is their love for that kind of music. So I think that's how it is with everybody. It's just your reflection of everything you digest. So you got your education, you know, and not only that, you're playing the music you love.
How about a tune like The Day That Heaven Had Gone Away? That's a little more reminiscent of maybe the Jimi Hendrix, Curtis Mayfield kind of clean chord style of all the hammer-ons. That's a beautiful tune.
I mean, and the chorus and everything like that, and it reminds me of like all the other stuff I love, whether it's Percy Sledge and Sam Cooke and everything like that. So, and then like I said, Sam Hendrix, and without a doubt, the chord voicings are all Hendrix for sure. I mean, you know, so the way he voices his chords and everything like that's total Jimmy for sure. Reflection of everything you love.
Hey, beautiful tone on that song as well as The Only Words too. What guitar are you playing on those tracks?
I'm actually playing one of my Barbarians that have. With EMG, we just designed these pickups that you pull out, you know, one of the volume knob. You pull the volume knob out, and it splits the EMG from, you know, a humbucker to a single coil.
Okay, yeah,
so
yeah.
That, you know, the Stratty, you know, that liquidy single coil tone.
Yeah,
you can't get that. I mean, you always get that toners with a single coil. It's impossible to get with a, you know, humbucker.
Yeah, it sounded almost Stratish, but with your own kind of twist on it. So it's such a great tone, man.
Totally.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, the step. Like if you listen to Robbie Blunt, you know, on Big Loud with Robert Plant, or Mark Knopfler, you know, Sultans of Swing and stuff, or Robin Trower.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm saying those tones. I mean, you can only get that sound with a Strat. You know, a single coil pickup.
What about the heavier stuff? What's your rig like for that on the album?
Actually, I'm using one amp, and that's my Wild Audio Master 100 for the clean stuff, just the guitar turned down, you know, without the distortion pedal on.
Okay.
But, you know, because there's still air on it, even though it's clean. But I'm using that, and then I'm using all my Wild Audio guitars. I use, you know, even the Book of Shadows record, I use all my Wild Audio stuff. So,
cool.
Yeah, I mean, you know, now it's just completely all my stuff.
Yeah. Zakk, you speak so respectfully of the past, but you also, from what I see, you know, you're always pushing forward. Is that the case with Wild Audio? Because you've said you've had great relationships with Marshall and Gibson and Dunlop, I guess. But when you started Wild Audio a couple of years ago, what was the inspiration there?
Well, no, I mean, the whole thing is now that we have our own franchise. I mean, it's just like, you know, if we owned a sports franchise, it would be played. It mean you played for Manchester United, and now we have our own franchise. We're owners, we're team owners. We know how it's run at a championship franchise. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, we know how it's run, how it's supposed to be run, if you want to be successful. So I mean, because we've been there, you know what I mean? So whether we were players, then we were coaches, then we were, you know, vice president of operations, and the only next logical step for me and you would be, you know, team owners.
Yeah, okay.
So, you know, but then, you know, yeah, so you just take the blueprint of what we've been doing with Manchester United, how we did the draft system, how we did the farm system, how we dealt with free agency, how we how the stadiums run, how the parking is done, and how everything's properly done. And then we'll just take that work ethic and then bring it to our company. You know what I mean? And just because the way things are supposed to be done properly. So, you know, it's kind of that. You just take those values and then we'll carry them with our company. So, you know, that's how it is. I mean, it's a lot of fun. I mean, you know, because it's not for everybody. You know, a lot of my musician buddies are just like, they'd rather just play and then, dude, I just want to go home. You know, I mean, I just want to show up, play, write, and they don't want to be involved in the artwork. They don't want to be involved in the production. They don't want to be involved in the merchandise. They don't want to be involved in owning a company, you know, I mean, a guitar company. They'd just rather be like, Zakk, I just want to play the thing. I really don't care about creating guitars and running a business. And I just want to play and go home.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? So, like I said, you know, it's not for everybody. I mean, if you love doing it, to me, it's not work. I just love doing it. You know, so, yeah. I mean, because every day I wake up, you know, because I always tell kids, they're just like, hey, Zakk, you got any advice for my son or my daughter? You know, they want to play music. I go, yeah, make the band your job. This way, you'll always love going to work every day.
Awesome.
There should be a grocery list every day you wake up of things you got to do to put another brick on the empire that's going to be your band. You know, I mean, if we owned a burger joint, I mean, we'd start off like McDonald's. We start off at a little shop, and then we just build, and you build, and you build, and you build, and each day we put another brick, and then, you know, until you got this castle. So, you know, then it turns into who's willing to put the work in and who quits. So, you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
I mean, that's about it.
Yep. So you
Because I mean, I have some of my friends that don't even, when I started with Ozzy, that probably don't even play anymore, and they're completely out of the music business. You know, as opposed to, you know, because with any band, you can put the band together, and then you can get the van and the U-Haul, and then you can head out on the road and try and make this a successful business. Or if times start getting tough, you either quit or you keep plowing ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's the line between whether you're going to be successful or you quit and you go home and go, well, I'm going to do something else. So, you know, I mean, that's what it takes.
Yeah, sure. That's cool. Hey, you mentioned Ozzy. I guess you'd be aware this is 30 years since you joined Ozzy's band, played on No Rest for the Wicked. It's also 20 years of Black Label and your 10th Black Label album. How do you look back on those sort of milestones?
No, I mean, nothing but amazing memories, man. You know, I mean, even during the drinking years, the Animal House years of Black Label, which is completely out of control. I mean, I have nothing but hilarious memories and just like ridiculous stories. I mean, we all still laugh about it. Whenever I run into any of the old fraternity members, I mean, it's like nothing but crying and laughing. And the same thing with Ozzy. I mean, it's not. You know, I mean, I always say with Oz, it was just a miracle we ever got any work done, just because we'd always be crying, laughing.
That's cool.
Everything else on top of it. I mean, it was just nothing but Animal House all the time. But, you know, so it's like I always just say, it was a miracle anything ever got done. But you're always crying, laughing. But, I mean, no, now, you know, it's still pretty much the same thing. I don't drink anymore, but I'm sniffing glue and eating paint chips, and the results are astoundingly the same. I wake up with my pants around my ankle. You know, I don't recall anything, but the fellas are like, Zakk, we had a great time last night. So I'm like, I don't remember. So the results are pretty much the same, but it's less filling. You know, it's less caloric, so it's much easier keeping it a figure.
Good to hear, man. That's very good. Hey, we've only got a couple of minutes left. Can I ask you a quick question? One of my buddies wanted to know the Miracle Man solo. It's obviously double track. Did you pre-compose that and then double track it, or did you just blast it out and then have to work out the doubling for it?
No, I mean, it's definitely from the Randy Rhoads, the St. Rhodes school of soloing. You know, where you compose it, where you make a song within a song. Like, you know, it's Stairway to Heaven, Hotel California. You know what I mean? And like with Randy stuff, basically all his solos.
Yep.
Whether it's Mr. Crowley, I don't know, Crazy Trainer, it's all composed.
Yeah, cool.
And, I mean, like on this, it's all the same thing. They're all composed. You sit with it like a little homework project, and I record. I get the backing tracks. I put the CD on a boom box, and I just sit there with my little practice amp, and you write something until you're happy with it. You know what I mean? You start with the beginning and then the end, and then, it's just like at the beginning, a middle, and an end. So it just kind of tells a story.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I play the same song. I mean, on like Grimmest Hits or any of the Black Label records, I play them for you every night. You know what I mean? So you memorize it. So it's I look forward to it because it's like, here's my little project. Let me see if I can come up with what I can come up with.
Okay. Yep. Awesome, man. Now you're as we said, like you're on the road pretty solidly at the moment, and coming up, I think you're heading to Europe shortly. Is there any chance of bringing Black Label Society to Australia?
Yeah, without a doubt. We'll be rolling with the Australian and New Zealand chapters too, and obviously you want to go to, all the Asian chapters as well. So, there's obviously when we get done with this run with the American and Canadian chapters right now, we're going to head over to, we have one day home, and then straight to Russia. Yep. So, I look forward to that. So, I look forward to getting up on stage every night, man.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, hey, Zakk, thank you so much for joining me. Really, man, so great to meet you, and all the best for the rest of the tour and all that's ahead for you.
You got it right back at you, my brother. Great talking to you, and tell the Australian chapter to stay strong, keep leading Black Label. God bless, and we'll see you guys in a little bit.
Cheers. Okay. Thanks so much, Zakk.
Take care, my brother.
All right, there you go. My conversation with Zakk Wylde. That was a lot of fun and inspiring. I loved hearing him talking about all those riffs and banging them out on a couple of strings, putting the record together in a few weeks. Very, very cool. All right, on to my conversation now with Greg Marra. Now, as I said at the front of the show, Greg has become a great friend of the podcast, and it was really cool to catch up. And I'll just say it now, check out all of Greg's stuff. He's Plenty Heavy, that's his band, plus a ton of solo stuff, some really great rock instrumental. The new stuff's more vocally oriented, but still with blazing guitars. He works with a lot of great guitar companies like Wampler and Sully Guitars, as we're going to hear all about. And has a fantastic podcast, the Iconoclast Music Podcast, where he talks to primarily guitar players and guitar-related folks, but not always, and that's an excellent show as well. All right, here we go. My catch-up with Greg Marra.
Hello.
Oh, hey, Greg. Matt Wakeling here.
Hello. How are you?
Good, mate. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming back. Nice to catch up, man.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Been enjoying your show,
man, and yours. It's funny because when we first met, Mick from Amps and Axes introduced us. So I only really knew you through doing my homework, like listening to all your music and stuff, and finding out as much as I could. But since then, you've started your podcast, and I feel like I know you a little bit better without talking to you, without even talking to you.
Exactly. Likewise.
Well, originally I thought, oh man, you were working at the G4 behind the scenes. So I thought it'd be fun to find out about that. But since then, you've done so much cool stuff that there's heaps to catch up on. So we might jump in if that's cool.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So when we first spoke, I can't remember the date. I will look it up and work it out. But it's either early last year or late 2016. I can't remember. But so I'll just run through my list of stuff you've done since then, and maybe we can talk about that. So so you started the podcast probably not long after we spoke on this show, and that's been awesome. I've loved that. It's been great. I love how you speak so candidly, both as from your perspective of being inside the music industry, and the guys you talk to too. I loved the Mike Melenda interview. That was that was great, and he could have kept going. Yeah. He's a very honest guy as well, so I really appreciated that. But you were great. You asked some really, really great questions.
Well, thanks, man.
Awesome. I think the last one I listened to was Patrick from, is it Lita Ford's band? I forget the surname. Yeah. He was cool too. Yep. So yeah.
Patrick Kennison. Yeah, I really enjoyed him because he's such a tremendous talent. He just really is a well-rounded musician in all respects. he can shred, he can write songs, he can kick back, he can back up Lita, and it's just it's just awesome to have a guy like that that's so cool too.
Yeah, he was great, man. He was very cool. So yeah, I mean, it often happens that when even if I don't know someone, I'll usually listen to the show just because it's always an interesting story, and then I usually end up digging back and finding out more about them. So
Yeah.
that was a cool introduction. And I just saw you've just today, as we speak, it's early March, you've posted your interview, your hangout with Alistair Green.
Yeah, yeah, that was great.
Nice.
He and by the way, are we live now? Are we recording?
Well, I'm recording. I'm always recording. So.
So I'm on. We're on now. Okay, let me put on my radio voice then
Oh,
in that
okay.
case.
Okay. Do you
No,
want us to
kidding.
start officially?
No, we don't have to. I mean, this
Okay.
is great. I mean,
Okay.
it's really relaxed. Um, yeah, Alistair lives about 20 minutes away, and
Okay.
he was here last summer too. I've got a studio in my house. One of the
Yeah.
bedrooms is converted. It's all sound treated, and I've got all. It's just too much stuff in this room, but it works fine. I've found workarounds for being able to do anything in my studio. But Alistair, he lives not too far away,
Yep.
and he was here last summer, last June, and I had a hard drive that I was backing everything up to, and it went missing.
Yep.
So he was cool enough to come back, and I think it's kind of better because his new record is out, Dream
Yeah.
Train,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so we
Yeah.
were able to sort of like you know just like you were saying, you get to know somebody by listening to their backstory, listening to other people interview that person,
Yep.
and you can kind of paint a picture, and it's not like a struggle to try to find comfortable conversation. So I think it was actually good that we did the interview again, and he came back over, and man, just a great, well refined guitar player. He's just a really cool
Yeah. Yeah.
blues rock player. He's really great.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to listening to that one. That's cool. And were you guys jamming or something? I saw some pictures with guitars.
Yeah, he played.
Yeah. Nice.
I was gonna play too, but it's like one of those things where I don't want to try to loom over anyone or impose myself when I'm interviewing someone else, because I hate that when I listen to interviews with other people and they're always saying my experience is this, and you're going, well, wait a minute, your guest is this person, so
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
want to we want to hear about the guest. So that's
Sure.
I try to not cross that line. But man, he played. It's in the episode, and it's really cool. He went through. He had a vintage Fender Strat that he played, and then he had a Les Paul. I don't know what year it was. I think it was a reissue, but
Okay. Yeah.
they both sounded great.
Yeah.
And just
Nice.
yeah, it was great.
Very cool. And you plugged into one of your amps?
Yeah, I've got a couple Friedmans.
Yep.
I've got a BE 100 that is kind of like the number one.
Yep.
Pink Taco that I like to take out for live because you just can't get a bad sound out of it,
Uh-huh.
and everyone loves it. It'll do metal if you put a pedal in front of
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and
Cool.
it'll do blues rock. It'll do anything you want it to do, and plus, it just has some extra special mojo to it. And then recently, I bought a used Third Power, the RPO 100, which is it's like the first Van Halen record, and I got a smoking deal on it, so I had to
Wow.
buy that one too.
That's
But yeah, he was
awesome.
going through the BE 100.
That's awesome, man. Very cool. Yeah, can't wait to hear it. I'll plug into that soon. Hey, speaking about not playing on the show. Last time you were on my show, I played a bunch of Plenty Heavy stuff because I think the EP was just out, and you've since finished the whole record. That's cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Nice. I'd listened to the whole thing. It's great. So it's more the same vibe, but just a bunch of different songs. And
Thank you.
your thing loved it, man. Because we're both big pop punk fans, it seems. So
Yeah.
that's nice. So are you any plans to play those things live?
Yeah, absolutely. I always try to have musicians in towns that I go travel to, and because it's mainly been like just the Greg Marra show.
Yep.
But I want it to be a band. I really do want it to be a band. But unfortunately, right now, the bass player Bjorn Englund is in Dio Disciples, and
Yeah.
they just announced like 2 months worth of dates. So I'm forced to find a backup player. So, I have a couple of really great bass players that I'm working with.
Mm-hmm.
One guy that doesn't have a lot of credits, but he's just a great guy, and he's easy to hang out with. And then I've got Jerry Best, who played in Lion with Doug Aldrich back in the
Okay,
80s.
cool, man. Great.
I mean, we worked. He works for Friedman and Wampler and the Boutique Amps company.
Yep.
So I work for Wampler at the NAMM show,
Mm-hmm.
and so we found each other, just crossing each other's paths the entire 5 days of the show, and I worked with him last year, and then this year we had a lot of time to kind of really, you get inside someone's world, and when it's comfortable and natural, and you're relating to the same things, and you have the same people in your circles. It's just sometimes it's really a great chemistry.
Uh-huh.
And Jerry and myself, he's probably like that with everyone. But for me, it just seemed really comfortable to talk to him, and there was a lot of work that went into it too. Like we're moving things around, we're making sure we're dealing with dealers and customers and artists and the whole thing. But at the same time, he was really easy to work with. So Jerry and I have been talking about doing something together, and I think we're going to have the opportunity to here coming up the next couple months. But as far as the Plenty Heavy thing, yeah, I'm sort of forced to find other players for it. I really would love to have it be Mike Hansen and Bjorn Englund who played on the record, but everyone's so busy that likely until we can kind of get our legs and get proper offers, I'll probably have to use other guys. But yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
sure.
going to happen. My next move is I'm going to be playing the Dallas Guitar Show, and I'll be playing some of the Plenty Heavy stuff at that show.
Great, great. Are you taking guys there, or you've got some local guys lined up?
Yeah, I've got Adam Nanez, who is a local Dallas guy. He's got
Oh,
a
yeah.
trio.
Yeah, awesome.
I don't
And
know
he,
if you know him.
I know of him through Sully Guitars, and you
Yeah,
had him on the show, on your show
I
recently.
did.
Cool, man.
Yeah, so they're gonna. I just sent them my whole, my discography of records, and so we're gonna pick some songs this week. Likely do a lot of covers. Maybe throw in some Kiss, because I know Sully's a big Kiss fan,
Yeah, he is.
and maybe do "Shock Me" by Ace Frehley, and so yeah. But those guys are gonna back me, and then Rob Welch, who played in my band before,
Yep.
is he's going to be traveling there too. We're going to be kind of sharing the hotel and the ride and everything.
Ah, cool,
So
man.
we're gonna pick some songs to do as well. So
Great.
it should be a fun show.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, well, that ties us into Sully. I see you're playing Sully guitars now. That's heaps cool.
Yeah, yeah. I'm I'm really fortunate to have just met Sully. I mean,
Yeah.
I met John a couple years ago at the NAMM show,
Hmm.
and you know how like I'm telling you with Jerry Best, it was like kind of the same thing where it's like it just made it easy. He just made it easy to just interact with him, and he's kind of a rock star himself. I mean, John Sullivan, he just kind of is. He just kind of is. I know he's a guitar builder, but he's kind of a rock star.
He is, man. He is.
So it's fun to be around him. So but I had the opportunity a couple years ago to play some of his custom guitars.
Yeah.
Same thing happened, the last few years in a row. But unfortunately, for John, he's so good and so in demand that he's got a long lead time. So I never had the opportunity to even be put on his custom build list.
Right. Yeah.
And then this year he's provided a line that's a production model line with all his 3D designs and specs, and it's a phenomenal instrument. It's called the Conspiracy Series, and it's made from World Music, which is like one of the top production line out of South Korea, I believe
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. They do.
And
They do all the PRS SE stuff and
yeah,
the Wild
yeah,
audio, Zakk Wylde stuff, and
yep, they do
yeah.
Chapman.
Yeah.
They do, and
Awesome.
the stuff they're doing. I'll be honest with you, Matt. I'm like the worst when it comes to nitpicking guitars, just because I've had so many of them,
Yeah.
production line, custom builds, and I'm worse with a production line guitar because I mean they should have it dialed in because I think John said that they're making 700 guitars a month, so
Yeah. Wow.
you would think that they've got it, they
They know what
figured
they're
it out, and
doing. Yeah.
dude, I could not find a one thing
Wow.
with it. I slammed the strings down, put the 9 to 46 gauge. It's the thing is perfect, and it's so well balanced and ergonomic feeling that it's not an ergo guitar, but it feels like it is. It
Hmm.
feels like everything's in the right place. And to be honest with you, I've played everything, and this is the one that I'm going. Every single time I play it, pick it up, I'm like, yeah, it's right. So he didn't design it for me, but it feels like it.
Yeah. That's great. Is that the Stardust or is that the
It is.
71? The Stardust.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
got
Cool.
the Stardust here. I got the prototype one.
Yep.
It's all
Nice.
satin black. It's all blacked out, and then I put on order a white Stardust
Hmm.
and a 71. So I'll
Excellent.
have three of them here in a couple
Cool,
months.
man.
Yeah,
Very cool. They look great. They look so cool.
yeah, I love it.
They are coming to Australia. Sully's dealers are in Brisbane, which is about an 8-hour drive north for me. I think that's the
Oh, okay.
closest dealer. But
Wow.
man, I'd love to check them out. They look really cool. Oh, that's
Yeah, it's
cool.
great.
I'm glad you hooked up with Sully. I had him on the show, yeah, a while ago too, and he was so much fun and just really brilliant at what he does.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
He is a good guy. He's very entertaining. It's funny. He's got a, I don't know if you've seen his YouTube
Yeah,
web
yeah,
series,
yeah.
but it's quite old and it's still entertaining, and
It's
you
still
still
good.
feel like he's the same guy. Yeah, it's still great.
That's cool, man. You from listening to your show, I was trying to read between the lines a little bit because you would talk about endorsement deals a bit, and
Yeah.
I saw you playing a lot of Charvel guitars.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, you're known as an Ibanez guy for a long time, so I saw you posting lots of Charvel stuff, and then you moved over to the Sully Guitars thing. So it sounds like it's been a good move for you.
It really has, and every year I try to be more positive and realistic and honest with just life, just relationships, and try to keep things in perspective. And the reason why you saw me not playing brand A and then I went on to brand B, it's just I had it in my mind. I said, look, if I'm going to be the one that's promoting me more than anyone else, these companies that are supposed to be promoting me, I'm just going to play what I like. So, I've been very fortunate to, collect guitars that I love,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got a ton of Charvels. I love those guitars. I love Wayne's Charvel. I've got a couple of those guitars.
Oh,
I do
okay,
love
yeah, cool.
Ibanez. But for me, it's like I, I could love anything if you put it in my hands for long enough. You know what I mean? I could kind of find even like something that doesn't play so well or sound great. I could try to, you sort of mold your style to what that guitar does. But as far as like a guitar that does everything,
Yep.
that Sully does it for me. So that's why it's kind of like, well, I love the Charvels. I love the other brands,
Yeah, sure.
and I've owned a bunch of different brands, but for me, it's like, well, this just feels right every time. So I don't feel like I need three different brands in order to accomplish what I need to do.
Yeah, great, man.
The Sony guitar, you can split the coils. You can get a classic sound by rolling off the volume. I mean, it just does everything. That's kind of why to me it seems like, well, it just all makes sense now.
Yeah, nice. Nice. I think I heard you saying on the show, I mean, you've just said it now too, how it fits you, just how you'd want the guitar to. That's very cool when you just pick one up and it feels familiar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool. I love John's whole story. Like the 71s, I think I've heard him say it's like his idea of what he would like a Les Paul to be because he's a long scale guy. He's like a strat scale player, 25.5 inch, but he could never get on with a 24 3/4 of a Les Paul. So that's cool. I've got my one set neck electric is an Ibanez, and it's for that reason because it's the Strat Scar. Because I'm so used to the long snappiness of it. So I
Yeah,
love it that he's doing that with his guitars. And the Stardust, that's a bolt-on, isn't it? So that's going to be a bit
it
snappier, I
is.
guess.
It is. Yeah, it's got the stainless steel frets. It's a bolt on.
Yeah,
I don't know
cool.
how. I mean, the neck, from what I can tell, I think it's 16th fret
Hmm.
is where the body meets the neck
Okay.
at the
Yep.
top, and then dude, it's cut all the way up to like 21.
Yeah.
You have
Wow.
access. So it kind of gives you that feeling of playing. I don't know if you've played an Explorer and kind of felt like the neck was wide open. You can go wherever you want
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
left to
Yeah.
right. And I think that's a different scale
Yep.
length, but it's just that feeling of having a complete wide open neck and not feeling constricted to even like the bass strings when you would wrap your hand all the way around up to like the 20th fret and
Yeah. Cool.
above. It always seemed weird to me, but with this guitar it doesn't. It feels like it's all access.
That's awesome. Especially being a single cut. That's if you can still get the access happening. That's very cool.
Hmm.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to talk to you about G4. What was that like for you,
Yeah.
being a fly on the wall there?
Oh man, I was hired by Bananas at Large, just a music retailer, and I've got a great friend, Alan Rosen, that
Hmm.
I've done a lot of video. Like I've done so much work for them. I've done clinics, and they're in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm in LA,
Yep.
and they hired me to be, the guy that could demo guitars because a lot of those campers, I don't know, 2000 something like that. A lot of those campers had the opportunity to buy Joe Satriani guitars models, or they shipped out a bunch of Jackson Phil Collin. They had some Paul Gilbert guitars
Uh huh.
there,
Yep.
so they had the whole backline store there. And for me, it was an opportunity to. I mean, here's the truth. It was an opportunity for me to go work the event and get a behind the scenes look. And dude, I mean, we could talk for hours about this, but I'll just keep it brief. When they were rolling in all the rare gear and all the backline and all the sound checks, in the hall that we were in is where they had the pop-up store, where I was working with Bananas at Large, and we saw everything, dude. It was honestly, dude, it was really I'll never forget that experience because for one, it's in like Pebble Beach area, which is like where they have the concourse car shows, and they have the famous golfing events and things like that. And it's beautiful, right in the coast of California. So for one,
Nice.
that's absolutely beautiful. You're staying there, and two, Phil Collins coming up and asking you if you could get some earplugs and a pack of strings, and you guys have the foot switch for his Black Star amp. So I'm telling you, there's so many instances like that where you're just going, I can't even believe this. It was just really, another. I'll just give you another quick example. At the end of the show, one of the things that Bananas at Large gifted me, it was just, I'll tell you what, I was almost in tears even as a grown man. They had a Warren DeMartini Charvel, the snakeskin guitar, and it was like,
man, awesome.
it's like it was just, and at the end of it they said, hey, we're gonna go get this signed, can you take some pictures? And they had Warren sign it, and well, everybody signed it, but Warren signed it, and Phil Collins signed it at the end, and then they said, hold the guitar up, and Warren DeMartini and Phil Collins popped up like they're cardboard cutouts in the back of me, and I'm holding the guitar, not knowing that those guys are in the back of me. And I've got a photo on my Facebook page of those guys in the back, man. And that was really cool. And I got to tell you, probably my besides like Michael Schenker and guys like that, Warren DeMartini is my number one.
Yeah, you're a
guy.
huge fan. Yeah,
Love him.
yeah,
And so I got to talk to him throughout the show, and I'm telling you, I think sometimes quiet can come off as like, he's arrogant or whatever, but that's not it at all. I mean, once you engage someone, and I think in a couple conversations, you just realize that he's just quiet.
mm-hmm.
And I didn't really fan out too much. I tried to just, quietly, let him know how much I love, his playing meant to me and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. But just in normal conversation, that was like, I'll never forget that. I mean, you feel like, how is this? It's like, how is my childhood dream coming true?
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? Getting to rub elbows with this guy was really, really cool, man. I mean, there's so many other stories, but that's just a couple.
Yeah, that's cool. That is so cool. That's the whole thrust of the G4. It's not like the G3 tour, like a gig. Although I saw lots of playing on YouTube. I saw Tommy Emmanuel shredding over.
Ah,
What are they doing? Rocket in the Free World or something? That was fun.
yeah. I can't remember the song they played, but I'll tell you real quick about Tommy Emmanuel.
Yeah, yeah,
He absolutely burned the place down.
yeah.
It was all the guys on stage. It was
Yeah.
You got Paul Gilbert, you got Phil Collins, you got Warren DeMartini, you've got Jeff Bowders on drums who play with Paul Gilbert, and you've got Joe Satriani. And Tommy Emmanuel, I'll tell you, these camps, they had the Joe Satriani camp, and the same facility they had the Tommy Emmanuel camp. It's acoustic and electric. You've got these two camps.
Yeah.
And Tommy Emmanuel on the last day is got this incredible, backline of amazing guitar players, the best of the best. And Tommy Emmanuel just brought down the house.
Yeah.
He did this thing where he was doing some sort of intervallic thing with sort of three notes. And he, on his telly, I don't know, 21 frets, whatever.
Yeah, probably.
He ran out of notes, and I'm telling you what, he I don't know if he bent the string. He kept going though. He was using the pickup. I don't know what he was doing. And Joe Satriani turned around Tommy Emmanuel's, sort of like around him to look at him from the audience view, and like everybody was in pure amazement as to how was he achieving notes that weren't even on the guitar. It was incredible. It was really cool, man.
That's awesome. He's got all the tricks. He's got them all up his sleeve.
Yeah, that was amazing. I've got a lot of videos that, I've posted some of them, and I've got some from the jam that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to Dropbox them to you.
Oh, that'd be great.
I know that some of those, that when you're working for, can't remember, Dreamcatcher, I think is the name of the event organizer. I know a lot of times maybe they don't want a lot of that stuff to be broadcast because they want people to experience it, in person, that kind of thing. So I don't, since I'm sort of working for someone that's working for them, I don't really want to post it up, but I'm happy to share it with you.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, the little bits that were posted looked amazing, man. What else? So, any Satch stories?
Yeah. We got to. I mean, let me just say, give you a little backstory of and I'll try to make this as brief as I can because I know we have limited time. But um, Alan Rosen owns Bananas at Large
Yep.
music stores in the San Francisco Bay Area, and that's who I work for. I'm very good friends with Alan Rosen from like more than 10 years ago. We have a lot of history of me working with him. He deals with Neil Sean directly. Deals with Joe Satriani directly. So that kind of like put your arm around someone's shoulder kind of thing where you get the bro treatment. It was 100% access.
Hmm.
So a couple quick things that I can impart is, you know, Alan talking with Joe and they need something. Could you make sure this guitar is ready and new strings, whatever it happened to be, or you're dealing with Joe signing amps, or Joe has a special something that you want someone to see, so can you go take it to him? And so that a lot of that stuff where you're just going, well, I don't know if that even matters if I say anything. I'm just in the presence of greatness,
Hmm.
and I'm just going to enjoy it from kind of behind the scenes. But I did get to talk to Joe, and I did get to see all of his rare guitars on stage. Like I was on stage because we were backlining some things,
Yeah,
and
cool.
they had all of his throughout, like the Not of This Earth through. Uh, Surfing with the Alien, and you go through the different records. He had his entire history of guitars on
Oh,
stage,
wow.
and I'm telling you, I've got pictures of that too, where I'm like, honestly, I could have just ran out of there and stuck it in my car and drove away with these amazing guitars. And honestly, there was no one around. It was really, really cool. So those are kind of some, like I said, we could talk for hours about that show, but those are a couple of things that just kind of stick with me. And
Yeah.
of course, I took pictures with him. And there was one night where a friend of mine, Bill Lanero, who I has strap tight strap locks, a good friend of mine now. I'm now endorsing his product, but he knows Joe very well, and it's like one of the last nights of the show. We're nearly all the way torn down, and we have a couple guitars left. They've got one more jam, and then we're gonna get out of there. Everyone's packing it up. So Joe comes walking through, and you have that kind of one-on-one conversation where you're going, "What do I say to Joe Satriani? I don't really know. Let's just wait for him to say something first, and just go roll with it." But because it's not often that you have, like, for me, I definitely have had those opportunities with some of my heroes, but not really when there's literally you're in one room with Bill Lanero, myself, and Joe. That's it. So like I said, what do you say? You want to say so much, but I tell you what, it ends up just being small talk. And I think we had a comment about Phil Collin had a shirt off in the poster behind the on the wall behind us, and Joe was saying something about Phil Collin, and man, I'll never have those man packs, that kind of thing, just to sort of paraphrase. And that's like I'm saying, you have that small talk that you're exchanging,
Yeah,
but
sure.
that was really cool. Yeah.
Nice. Sounds like the whole thing was quite inspiring.
Well, yeah. I mean, it really was, man, because you're in the same cafeteria as all those guys. You're watching all the sound checks. If they, like I said, if they need something, you give it. You're able to provide that to them one on one, and I'll never forget it. And I've got a lot of rehearsal footage too. Like I said, I'll set up a Dropbox and I'll shoot it to you so you can have it. But I've got a lot of the Warren D. Martini
Hmm.
rehearsals, um, some of the Paul Gilbert rehearsals. I think I've got a Joe Satriani. He was giving some sort of like a clinic on something. So I've got a lot of that stuff. I'll just share it, and you can kind of see. You can see, man, it was cool.
Yeah, awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's great. This is kind of funny to me because you are like, to me, you're an amazing guitarist. You've played with some amazing people, but you get as fanboy as the rest of us, I guess, when you're around your heroes.
Well, dude, thank you. I mean, for me, I don't. I'm happy to say at age 45 that I've got that 17-year-old kid living inside me,
Awesome.
and I never want that to go away. And I've told this story before, but I had from 2000, I forget, it was 2013 to 7, I don't know, 16, whatever. For 3 or 4 years, I was playing with Bruce Bouillet,
Yeah, yeah.
who, if he had asked me when I was 17 and I was buying the Racer X cassette second heat, yeah, someday, or rather, I told me someday you're going to play with this guy. There's no way in the
Yeah.
world I would have believed you. But I think that the thing is I'm always gonna have that guy in me that's fanning out, and I hope it never goes away. I and when I was playing with Bruce, there were times when he would show me things that were like, oh, we did this in Racer X. Oh, Paul did this, and it's just like when you have the guy telling you, hey, play this part. Paul Gilbert played this, and
Yeah.
but not saying Paul Gilbert. He's saying Paul did this, and
Mm-hmm.
and then you get to there was like a lot of rare pictures he would show, and just hanging out with the guy, man. Just the whole thing was like kind of like you got to separate that 17-year-old version of yourself from
Yep.
you're working right now, so you better be professional, and likely you won't have the gig for much longer if you fan out. So I try my best, but sometimes it comes out.
Man, that's cool. That's like the ultimate. It's like pardon me. That's like when you're a kid, and you jam along with the record, or you pretend you're in the band, and there you are playing Paul Gilbert's parts.
It was unreal. I mean, real quick about the Paul Gilbert part.
Yeah, yeah.
Paul has such a massive stretch. He could stretch from 9 to 12 to 15 without tapping. And we're playing a Heart of a Lion. And there was a part I just asked Bruce. I said, dude, I mean, I got to tap this. My hand it's not made to do that. He's like, why do you think I stopped playing for all those years after Racer X? Because I was like unable to play. I don't know if he had carpal tunnel or some other
Oh
muscle thing
wow,
that
yeah.
happened, but that's why is because that stuff was impossible to play, and those guys were like, they would nail it, and it was just you wonder if that was just raw, young raw talent, or it was just playing the guitar all the time or what. But you know what? I got the opportunity, I forget, Gary Sharon said, he's like, look, he got to be one of those guys for a moment in time. He
Mm-hmm.
got to be in Van Halen for a moment in time, and judge it or not judge it, that's an experience that he had. And I kind of look at my thing the same way. It's like, yeah, I wasn't in Racer X, I wasn't in Mr. Big, but I got to play with one of my heroes, and
Yeah,
no one can ever, create an experience like that for me that'll be recreated.
yeah.
It's just once in a lifetime. It was cool.
That's awesome, man. Man, if I can, I'll just shoot a quick Satch story in. I sort of met Satch. I worked at a clinic he was doing here, and one of my jobs was to hand him the Sharpies for the meet and greet.
Yeah,
So it was
yeah.
surreal. But you know what I noticed, talking about stretch, this is why I'm saying it. Paul Gilbert with his big stretch. Satch is a very compact guy. I've said this on this show before, but he's not tall, and his fingers are in proportion to the rest of his body. So I looked at his fingers and I thought of all that legato stuff I'd just seen him doing for the last 2 hours, and I just thought, man, that is just a lot of hard work and passion, and
Yeah.
on top of the talent. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. He has that thing about him. He's got such a charisma that
Yeah.
I always think I always like I like to use I kind of like to be in a room with someone that even if they're not you know advanced in age, even if they're not older, I always like to be in a room with people that seem wise to me, or seem like,
Hmm.
even if they don't have all the life experience, they're gonna give me the charisma that's gonna make me feel like I want to spend time, and there will never be a time when I get sick of hanging out with this person, or will want to I kind of run out of things that I could learn about the person, or experiences, that kind of thing. But Joe Satriani is one of those guys that you feel like, man, I could never run out of things to ask this guy.
Hmm.
He's just like an endless wealth of knowledge, and just tremendous amounts of wisdom and charisma.
Yeah.
It's that feeling he gives you, even when he's talking to you.
That's cool, man. That's cool. And I think that's why I love your podcast, because you're eternally curious and learning about these things, as well as being a monster musician yourself.
Thank you, man.
Man,
Thank
we need to wrap up shortly, unfortunately. But let's quickly run some stuff. So Dallas Guitar Show, when is that? When are those dates?
I think we're at May. I'll be there May 2nd through May 7th.
Okay.
And I have a show at Guitars and Growlers,
Hmm.
which is it's going to be sponsored by Sully Guitars,
Awesome.
Adam Nanya's band, Perfecto de Castro, myself. I think John Sullivan's going to get up and jam some tunes too.
Yeah, nice.
Might be some other artists that jump in. So yeah, I think we're looking at May 5th. is the date, and that's in Richardson, Texas.
Excellent, man. And how else do people keep up to date with all your stuff?
I think the best way is just to go on Facebook
Yep.
and Instagram. So if you Instagram me, it's / all one word, Marra Music, Marra Music, and same thing on Facebook. I've got a website, but I'm gonna update that, and that's my full name, gregmarra.com,
Yep.
GregMarra.com. So those 3 places are the best.
Yeah, cool. And the Iconoclast music podcast comes highly recommended. So
thanks, man.
Check that out, man. Check that out, people. And that's
Thank
cool.
you.
Great. What's coming up with
Thanks,
that?
man.
Have you got some guests lined up?
Just did Alistair Green, and I've got some. What else do I have coming up? I have a wish list. Let me just put it to you that way.
Yeah, gotcha.
Because I might take a minute off. I have one episode that I'm going to put out with Harry Chaucer from Racer X.
Oh, awesome.
He was the original drummer of Racer X.
Yep.
And we had, I'll tell you real quick. I know you got to wrap it up. Give me my 20 seconds. He didn't speak English very well, so I recorded the questions. He kind of had someone translate it, then he took his time to provide me with an English response. A response in English, I should say.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna edit that together and present it in a way that sounds natural. But I guess I kind of gave that up right now. That it's not a live thing.
Yeah,
it's just you'll hear the questions from me, and then I'll edit it together with his answers. But
very cool.
That's coming up too. I'm stoked on that one.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've got a wish list, so we'll see how it all pans out.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, I'll be tuning in whoever turns up. So that's.
Cool.
That's cool.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, man. Hey, thanks for catching up. It's been this conversation's been a little bit everywhere, but I just wanted to have a catch up, man.
That's great.
Had my wish list of questions for you, so all good.
Cool. Thanks, Matt.
All right. Well, we'll talk again, hopefully, and all the best for Dallas and everything else you got coming up this year.
Sounds great. Thanks again, Matt.
Cool. Thanks, Greg. All right, there's Greg Marra, and he is great on so many levels. The podcast he's playing, the videos he puts up, so definitely check out his stuff. And if you haven't heard episode 36 of the Guitar Speak podcast, go back and find that because it gives us a lot more details about Greg's career to date, including some plenty heavy audio so you can hear his playing up close and personal. All right, thank you so much for joining me on the Guitar Speak podcast. Remember, you can subscribe to us on iTunes for Apple devices or Stitcher or iHeartRadio for Android devices. We're at guitarspeakpodcast.libsyn.com. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and you can support us through Patreon. That's all of our bits and pieces. Okay, thanks for joining us for another episode. My name's Matt Wakeling. You've been listening to the Guitar Speak podcast. See you next time.